Hello friends, my name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle, and the Wheel of Healing Companion Workbook, which is a companion that digs deeper into Ayurveda that goes hand in hand with the Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda. And I also have the secrets of the Wheel of Healing audio program. You can go to www.thewheelofhealing.com to purchase that and pick that up. So today we are talking about Ayurveda for colds. And the reason why we're talking about that is because for the past few days I've been hit by a killer cold. Now, I normally don't get sick, as some of you have noticed in some of my other videos when I talk about illness, but I've been going through an extremely stressful time, and just case in point, that stress leaves your body susceptible to getting sick. As many of you know, I'm going through a move across the country. I'm preparing a lot of different things for that move, and I'm having a lot of stress factors with certain people in my life who aren't so happy about the move, and there's just a lot of things going on. Well, this weekend we traveled to Boston to visit my eldest, Jay, and the little one, who's not so little, he's 14, he had a really bad cold, and then I caught that cold somewhere along that trip. And when I got back, I was having a lot of really adverse symptoms, notably mostly Kapha type symptoms. Now, I am mostly Vata in my Ayurvedic mind-body type, but even Vata types, especially if they get stressed and they get worried and they get a lot of anxiety, or they're traveling, and especially if they're traveling by air, their body can be very susceptible to catching viruses, catching bacterial infections, if you're not careful, if you're not doing the right things that you need to do. Now, as for me, I usually have certain supplements that I like to take. I like to take Trifolo when I'm traveling because I tend to get constipated as a Vata type. And I like to take some vitamin C with me as a preventive measure in order to not get sick. Well, lo and behold, because of the rush of leaving, I forgot all of that. So I didn't have any of my normal stuff that I usually do when I'm traveling. And so my body was a little bit more susceptible, coupled with all the stress that I've been experiencing. So let me just tell you this, mostly colds, your traditional cold, is a virus. It's not a bacterial infection. Some of you out there may have been conditioned either by your parents or your grandparents or even your doctor and, several years ago, it could have been 10, 20, 30 years ago, to take an antibiotic when you have a cold. An antibiotic will do nothing for the cold, and in fact, it will leave your body weaker, and it will have a more difficult time fighting off that virus. Viruses need to take their course. So all you can do is provide support for your body so that the virus will lessen and leave a little quicker and lessen the intensity of those symptoms. Now, for me, a lot of Kapha symptoms did creep up, which happens oftentimes with colds when you get a lot of mucus buildup in your sinuses. And for me, it actually happened in the chest, which really is indicative of a Kapha imbalance. So Kapha normally sits in the stomach. Pitta sits in the small intestine, and Vata sits in the colon. As long as the major seat of the doshas is in the gastrointestinal tract, then you're good. Those doshas are behaving. But as they start to misbehave because of stress, because of exposure to germs, then those doshas will travel into other areas that show signs of weakness. So, for example, the problems that I was having with Vata because I was traveling made that Vata move, and so as a result, the Kapha also moved, and it moved a lot into my chest cavity, into the bronchial passages. Even in my lungs and the trachea, I really had a hard time breathing, and still am having a little bit hard time breathing because of the mucus, because of the inflammation. There are many things you can do in Ayurveda to help quell those symptoms. One of the things you can do if you have a lot of mucus buildup in that kapha imbalance of the cold is you can use a neti rinse cup or nasal rinse cup, also called a neti pot. They have now those squeezy bottles that you can use. Those tend to be a little bit easier. Using a neti pot actually does have a learning curve, so you have to actually tilt your head, and the water, the saline water, you're gonna add some sea salt to it. It goes in one nostril and it's supposed to exit out of the other nostril, and then you do the other one, the other side. If you're not used to doing it, it can be really unpleasant, but with practice you can do it. Now normally I don't get a stuffy nose. This time I got a little bit of a stuffy nose, but again, I told you it went right to my chest, which is not very pleasant. So you can use a neti pot after you put your saline solution, which is not like contact saline solution. It's basically about 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt with warm water. You want it to be warm enough that it's not going to burn the inside of your nostrils. You can use a Nasya oil, Nasya. This one is a special preparation for Nasya, which is basically lubricating the inside of the nostrils with an oil. And if you don't have Nasya oil, you can use just a plain old sesame oil, which is not a cooking oil, but a massage grade sesame oil. You can also use coconut oil. It's really good. Actually, those two oils are actually antibacterial and antiviral. And this is a pure organic extra virgin coconut oil by Viva Labs. I really, 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 really like this one. This one's great. It has a wonderful smell. It smells so good. It actually smells like coconut. But you can use this as well for Nasya, and just taking with a little finger. You want to make sure your nail's short so you don't scrape the inside of your nostril. But you literally insert your finger inside of each nostril and lubricate those nostrils with the coconut oil or the sesame oil or the Nasya oil. Now, another thing that can be really irritating is when you have a scratchy throat, and for me that was huge. Cough drops work, but you feel sickish after you're using cough drops. So I like Kapha tea while I am sick. So Kapha tea has many of the different spices that really work for kapha, such as ginger. There's ginger, clove, pepper, cardamom, turmeric, and saffron in this formula. This is by Maharishi Ayurveda, or mapi.com. I tend to like this one as a tea. I like Banya Botanicals. I tend to like the Maharishi Ayurveda dosha specific teas better. It's never a good idea to have a lot of caffeine when you're sick, especially with a cold or flu, because you're already feeling a little bit dehydrated. This Clear Throat by, again, Maharishi Ayurveda is a great one that I've been taking as well. It's like a natural Ayurvedic cough syrup. There's some home formulas that you can do. I'm going to give you a few recipes for home formulas. So one of the home formulas you can do that I love is using turmeric with honey and ghee. And I ran out of the ghee just last night, so I don't have any ghee. So you're going to take about a teaspoon of honey, a teaspoon of ghee. You want the organic grass-fed ghee is the best for grass-fed cows. So you can get those omega-3s. And the cows are treated friendly. And take about a half a teaspoon of organic turmeric powder. So what you're gonna do is take your teaspoon of honey, your teaspoon of ghee, your half teaspoon of organic turmeric powder, and you're gonna mix it, and you're going to make a paste. Then you're going to take it with a spoon and lick it and just coat the throat with it. You're actually going to eat that. Turmeric is wonderful. It's an anti-inflammatory. It soothes the throat. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a great way to help you get rid of that mucus. Tulsi is another Ayurvedic herb that's really good for colds and flus, as well as inflamed bronchial passages. Tulsi works as an expectorant. So if you're having a hard time coughing up the mucus that you need to cough up, use the same formula with Tulsi. So you're gonna do teaspoon of honey, teaspoon of ghee, and a half a teaspoon of Tulsi powder. This is powdered Tulsi. In this particular formula, I mean, it's just a single herb. It's by Banyan Botanicals. So those two are absolutely lifesavers. They're what I enjoy. You can also rub, this is a Kapha oil by the Chopra Center. It's called Invigorating Abi Oil. So you can rub this on your chest, on your back, on your face for your sinus passages. It's really good. You can also do a formula with sesame oil or coconut oil and clove oil. So this is clove essential oil. Clove is really, really good. Again, antibacterial, antiviral. It really helps to ward off colds and flu. If you are exposed to people who are sick with the colds or flu, you can take a few drops of clove essential oil and rub it on your chest. And by inhaling that, it'll really help you with those antibacterial and antiviral properties, which are great. You could also mix a few drops of clove oil with an Abi oil or a Kapha type oil, and then again, rub it on your chest. So that's a really great way to do it too. Another homemade tea you can do when you're sick is lemon, honey, and ginger. And again, I don't have any ginger root. So what you're gonna do is slice up some lemon, squeeze it into hot water, take about a teaspoon of honey, and chop up fresh ginger and just mince it very, very, very finely, and take about I like to take a tablespoon. I think it makes a better tea. Take about a tablespoon of the chopped up ginger root and add it to that lemon water with the honey and sip it. And at the end, you're going to eat the bits of ginger. And again, ginger is an anti-inflammatory. It is an antiviral. It is an antibacterial. And again, it's going to just help release some of that mucus that can release that kapha and put that kapha back into place. Another Ayurvedic trick, if you are literally choking on mucus, now don't get grossed out here, you guys. Vamana is one of the detoxification methods in Ayurveda. So what you can do is boil up about 4 cups of licorice tea. Licorice, okay? So you want a licorice type tea. It is an organic licorice. You're gonna boil it with the bags. You're going to steep those bags for about 10 minutes. You're going to let the tea cool down to room temperature. You're going to drink the licorice tea fairly fast. You're going to drink it within about 5 minutes. Remember, it's cool. You're not drinking hot tea. And this is for excessive mucus that just, it doesn't want to come out. It's just lodged. It doesn't want to come out. You want to do this on an empty stomach. You don't want to do this with a full stomach. So you're going to take about 3 to 4 cups of this licorice tea, drinking it fairly quickly. And then you're going to induce vomiting. So you're gonna just stick your finger down your throat, induce vomiting into the toilet, and that will release some of that mucus. It releases the kapha. And that's in the extreme case where the mucus is just not going anywhere. It's going to induce that. It's going to release that kapha up. And so that's what you can do too if you're choking on too much mucus and it's just not going anywhere. So another thing is the traditional grandmother recipe of chicken noodle soup. That always works in my household. You know, I'm not a big meat eater. I pretty much eat vegetarian about 95% of the time. I do chicken once in a while. And when I'm sick, I do enjoy a nice hot bowl of chicken noodle soup that I make myself homemade with organic chicken and the garlic. Put about 5 cloves of garlic in there. And a spin on the traditional chicken soup that I've added is I actually do add turmeric and I add curry powder, which has turmeric in it, and a lot of black pepper. So black pepper, turmeric added to your traditional chicken noodle soup, about 5 cloves of garlic, onion, celery, parsley, carrots, a lot of the things that are just going to help you overcome all of those antioxidants and those phytonutrients that are really going to help with the inflammation in the throat, in the bronchial passages, and in the sinuses. That's going to help as an anti-inflammatory effect. So thank you so much for joining me. If you're sick with a cold like me, please get well soon. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Share this video with friends, family, and your dog. And thank you for pledging your support on Patreon. I couldn't do this without your pledge and support. www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.